You can walk around there.
It's been so long ago, I really don't remember.
But Margaret.
Yes.
Margaret Crowley.
Well,
Margaret and Sue White
it was.
got it started.
Sue White, okay.
Oh, then Sue White has to get up.
Okay, sit down, Lena.
Let's hear it.
Sue White was very young.
How old was Sue White?
Well, I moved to Missoula in '74.
Whoa.
And I think I was 20. Something like that.
Higher math.
And so, anyway, I don't think it was, yeah.
Close the door.
Close the door.
Oh,
Kick out the rattlesnake kickstand.
Yeah, those boys showing off out there.
I don't know exactly what year it was. I know I came in '74, and I wanted to hike in Glacier, but I was scared to death of bears. And I belonged to the Presbyterian Church. And the Presbyterian Church decided that they would take a group in to Granite Park Chalet one year and Sperry Chalet the next year, and I signed up because someone had said to me, if you've got 20-something people going down the trail, you're not going to get eaten by a bear, and I decided that that was a really good idea.
yes, good idea.
And so I hiked in with, and Margaret was part of that group. And I just loved it. I had the most fun, and I just loved it. And then the next year we went to Sperry Chalet, and I loved that. And then the church decided that 2 years in a row was enough, and they were done.
Oh, is that how?
Yeah, and so Margaret and I talked, and
They weren't done.
we weren't done. We weren't done, and we wanted to keep doing it. And so we invited friends, and Lena was my friend, but she was also Margaret's friend. And I think Margaret got Lena started in it very shortly. Lena might have come to like maybe the second time, or maybe even the first time with Margaret.
She talked me into it too.
You know, and then it just basically a group. People liked it so much that they asked their friends, and their friends asked their friends, and then we got this core group of probably 20, 22 people, and they just kept coming back. And I mean, we had people from Texas and California. Can you believe it? And
That was the first mistake.
Oregon got somehow sued
Portland.
Jan
Van Swearinger.
Carol Johnson. Yeah. Carol Johnson came and then invited Sue, and then Sue invited all these Oregon people.
But then Carol invited me to come. I took the Greyhound bus to Missoula. She picked me up. And she had just gotten remarried, and she said, I can't leave my husband, so I'll take you to Rosauer's Market in the parking lot and put you in a car with Lena and Carmen. That was my first trip. And the embarrassed, did I tell them embarrassing? Yes.
Of course.
Carol had taken me up on this mesa near Missoula, and we watched the firefighters that have a school in Missoula take a helicopter and pick up water and all that. We had a bottle of wine, we finished, had lunch, and we sat on this rock. And the next day, I met Lena and Carmen for the first time, and we went off to Glacier, and we got up to our room. We were rooming together, and I was scratching, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I said, do you mind just looking to see what's going on there? And it turned out I had been sitting on some kind of ants.
Oh!
Ass ants.
So that was how we became close very
Not
fast.
fire ants.
That would do it.
And that was the origin of ants in your pants?
Good one, Earl.
Oh, and then Janet Van Swearingen was from Montana.
What year was that? Because she's
She
first
grew up
married.
in Great Falls, and then she and Hugh, her husband, were high school classmates. And he was with Associated Press, and he was the person representing Associated Press with the Oregonian in Portland. So she became involved with the Tryon Creek State Park hikers. And I said at some point, I met her there and I said, we're going to Montana, would you like to go to Glacier Park? And she said, yeah, I've never been there. Or she's never stayed there, I guess was that, to the chalets. So she came along and that started. Pardon me? She knew the mountain, all the names of the mountains. What's that big hill, Swift Creek Mountain? We went up to the lookout there. And I think Rosemary, weren't you a lion on the, pretending to be lions on the entrance to the lookout? And she knew every mountain. She had it all memorized from that lookout.
Wow.
What's that? Yeah, Oregon too. She learned a lot.
Not just the mountains, but the glaciers too.
And then Will came along. With Beth. With Beth, yeah. And Beth came with
Lena is married first.
Yeah, okay, go on from here, kids.
Well, let's just start with the
Yeah. Okay, Rosemary, stop.
So last year was my first year at the Tetons, and I brought my two boys, Luke and Troy, and they would have come this year, but school had started. So hopefully next year we go back to summertime. But I came because Paul had mentioned coming. Paul's my younger brother, so that's how I got in.
He's California.
I came with him. This is my first year.
She only carried one rock in her pack.
And you found it later, right?
When we got to the car, when I was complaining why my lower back was hurting so bad, I didn't understand.
Doug?
He did. And
I
Paul.
came with Beth, and I will follow her anywhere. And by the way, with Janet Van Swearingen, I do have, she has a memorial up on one of the mountains, and I do have the GPS coordinates of that if anybody wants it.
Wow.
Out along the Columbia.
Pardon?
when was your first trip?
First trip was that I was out on the
Look at Peninsula.
Olympic Peninsula, yeah.
You didn't go to Yellowstone or?
Nope, nope.
Oh. You know, my first trip was with Lena because she said, Lena and I went to junior high and high school. Anyway, and our daughters were excellent friends. Anyway, so Lena said, come out and we'll go to Sperry Chalet. And all the way up it was, look at the bear grass, look at the bear grass. And on the way out, we hiked, it was all the women, it was 14 miles or something. It was a one-run. So I've tried to go since then.
Oh,
And
yes.
of course I drug poor Doug along.
Poor
Kicking
Doug.
and
Oh.
screaming. Anyway.
I had no choice.
I had no choice.
It's been great.
How about going this way then, Lena and
Oh, well, it's just tradition.
What was your first trip though?
It was to Granite Chalet, I think.
Before?
Yeah, with First Presbyterian Church.
Even though you were Lutheran.
Yeah, yep, I'm Lutheran.
It was a religious integration, although it was an outdoor experience.
Yeah.
When was your first trip, Earl?
You know, I'm not sure.